Happy Saturday, my beautiful friends, beautiful family out there. Let's do a little education. How about that? I think it's really due, so I will be waiting a few moments for people to tune in, making sure that we are live. And I appreciate all of you. Much love to all of you. Love and peace. Before we get started, I want to make sure that everything that I am posting, I'm discussing, is to bring awareness, is to really bring awareness and make people think critically in order to ensure that we appreciate and we honor the amazing gift that was left for us, the Republic, the Republican form of government. And that we really can understand what this is all about. This is not about one party fighting the other party. This is not to create conflicts and division. This is actually to create unity and bring peace. Also, any of the information that I'm sharing is not a legal advice. If you seek legal advice, there is tons of bar, licensed agents, foreign agents that will be more than happy to take you to the legalese la la land. Go ahead, get lost in all the codes and statutes and be represented because that's what we've been taught, right? That's what we've been taught, to really just be dumb, to be dumbed down and not even realize what's happening right in front of our nose. So also, the other thing that I want to really be very clear about is that this is not an attack or create some kind of, hate towards certain group of public servants, cops, or anyone like that. Not at all. I actually love I love people. I love all people. I love all beings. I see the greatness in people wherever I go. Anyone who knows me, has worked with me, has spent time with me, knows that wherever I go in the world, I feel family. I recognize the light in people, and I really wish that we could bring each other up, that we could stop this bickering, arguing, and that can only happen when we create inner peace within us. So it's about the inner work, that we work on ourselves, and then we start recognizing that we are all brothers and sisters. We come from the same source, from God, right? So what is all this division about? So the reason I'm saying that is because the moment I start speaking up, once again, I am getting these no ID calls and stuff like that. And it's like, come on, dude. Like, if you want to call me, okay, at least have guts and be honorable. Be honorable. Let me know who you are if you wish to speak to me. And also the other thing is that my time is the most precious currency. So don't think that you can just pick up a phone and call and that, I'm sitting there, have nothing else to do but wait for your call, especially when you don't have the guts to state who you are, right? So we need to have respect. You will have to schedule an appointment with me, schedule a phone call with me, and I will decide if it fits within my schedule. You know how to reach me. So dudes, have some spine, all right? Have some spine and stop this no caller ID. Because if anyone has any issue, be honorable and be able to face me, all right? We can have a very nice discussion. I don't bite, but this hiding behind the keyboard and no caller ID, that's dishonorable. That's not what honorable men do. And it goes for both sexes, it's men, women, whoever it is, all right? So, but today I want to really talk about something so critical that I didn't recognize how this is just flying over people's head. due process, the importance of due process. And it really came to my, it's like, it was this eye-opening where people were saying, well, I've been studying Constitution and I've been getting this certificate and I got that into that study group and I know the Constitution and I know the Bill of Rights, but they really don't. The fact that you can say it, that you can state it is one thing. But what is another thing is if you really understand it, if you know what it means. And then the third thing is if you know how it's applied. So, and that goes, to that case that I've been sharing with you where, we got so accustomed that at any time, at any point, a public servant can interrupt, can violate your pursuit of happiness, your right to life, your Fourth Amendment, and can stop you and can be asking you all kinds of information and papers. This is Nazi Germany. And I know that very well because my family has been through that. So this is why we really need to spend some valuable quality time discussing due process and how it applies in everyday life. This is so critical. A lot of people complain that this is happening and that's happening, and it's only happening because we allowed it to be happening. Okay? Everything that you do not like in the society, with the world, is because of us. No one else. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to save us. You know why? Because all the political power, all the power is vested in the people. God gave you rights at your birth. You were born with those rights. Those rights are unalienable. No one can take them away. Only you give them up. And you give them up so easily. It just blows my mind. Okay, so what is due process? So due process is, how should let me start this way. So as we said, our rights come from our birth, from just coming to this physical existence, into this physical body. Those rights are and they are God-given, unalienable. They cannot be taken away, and this is why they were secured by the Constitution. And that's your line in the sand from you and the people that serve you. You see, in the United States of America, we do not have public tyrants. We have public rulers, aka tyrants. We have public servants. Okay? This is very, very important to remember. This is what makes America great, because we still have Constitution. And trust me when I tell you, some countries wish that they had what we have. And we need to really start acting on it, because it's us, we, the people, who all the political power is vested in. So what is the Fifth Amendment? What is the right of due process? It means that no one can take you anywhere or do anything with you or take your property or basically trespass on you or your rights without due process, meaning without you having the right to face your accuser, face the claims, and be in front of properly seated Article 3 judge in Article 3 court of record, under common law proceedings to get your justice. okay, where you get convicted, and then they can put you in jail. Then they can take your property away from you. Then they can do, all these other things. It cannot happen before you get your due process. So let me read to you the Fifth Amendment, okay, what it says exactly. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. And now it comes, okay? Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So let me repeat the two very important parts of the Fifth Amendment when you are out there in the world, in the public, peacefully exercising your right to pursuit of happiness, your right to life, to go about your business, and someone interrupts you. So you shall not be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against yourself, meaning that you have the right to remain silent. And you know that anything you say or anything you provide may be used against you, and we know will be used against you. And that's exactly why they want the papers. They want the driver's license. They want your identification, which most people don't even know what that is, that it's a trustee card. That's a liability card. And that's what these corporate mercenaries are after the driver's license, so they can issue commercial instrument on the side of the road, have you to sign it, and voila, here we have securities. All right? So, but we will not be discussing that. That will be for another chat. The importance of a due process is, like I said, is that you shall not allow anyone to take you anywhere without seeing the judge. Okay? Properly seated Article 3 judge. Yet, it's such a common practice that, like with this case we are dealing now, that the young man is peacefully traveling. There was not even any traffic violation according to their own statutes and codes. And yet he was yanked out of his car, and he was, dragged on the concrete. The window of the car was smashed. The glass flew into his eyes, and as they were dragging him across the street, the concrete, it got all into his skin. And then he was kidnapped, he was placed into involuntary servitude, and for several hours. And then later on, they are putting on the case with the court that he will get to see a judge. That's total, absolute violation of due process, of private civilian due process. You see, what's totally wrong with this picture is that this law enforcement public servant played three roles. He played a witness, he played a prosecutor, and he played a judge. Right there on the spot, when he basically decided that this private American is committing some crime, although there was no victim, there was no victim. Allegedly, there was a broken tail light, which actually wasn't even true. I think just someone was bored and wanted some action. That's what it really sounds like. So he decided that he's going to turn on the lights, which, by the way, is creating intentional emergency, state of emergency, which is a felony in the state of California. California Penal Code 148.3. That's their law. That's their own law, which is applicable to the employees of the state, which this public servant is the employee of the state of California. So he himself, right there, when the lights went on, committed felony. Right there. So, but it continues, right? So he decided that there was a crime committed. So he was obviously a witness, right? Then he prosecuted the crime scene. He investigated, I guess, the crime scene and decided, that's the third role of playing a judge, that, yeah, we need to seize this man. We need to seize the property. We need to call the towing company and get the car towed and put this man into involuntary servitude in jail for a few hours. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, that's called administering street justice. That's street justice, which is not the policy, I bet you, of the training to administer street justice. I bet you it is not a policy of any of the agencies to assault. Basically, this is an aggravated assault, battery, kidnapping, torture, and placing someone in involuntary servitude. I guarantee you that none of these agencies are training their agents to commit those acts. Kidnapping, aggravated assault, battery, placing someone in involuntary servitude, denying someone a private civilian due process. I want to see that. I want to really see that in the training manual of these public servants. Also, something very, very important to remember is that their own California governmental code 11125, I believe, tells them that the people of this state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies that serve them. Right there. Right there. In their own California government code. Right there. So, but let's continue. This is why knowing what really due process is so fundamental when you are dealing with any of these interactions. Anyone who is playing street justice and wants to take you anywhere needs to really give you the due process. I don't know. You tell me that due process is not applicable in the United States of America. I'm reading it right here in the Constitution Bill of Rights that you have the right to due process. So what should have happened is really if there was a crime committed, because, you know, the other question is, let's say that there was a broken tail light in the back. Is that light going to take a witness stand and testify under penalty of perjury that the light got hurt? Is she going to like stand on the witness stand and say, yes, this man injured me? Okay? I bet you she won't. So where is the victim? Where is the victim? Can we have a victim? Without a victim, we don't have a crime. Without crime, we don't have a case. So we know that something else is behind the scenes, and this is why you people need to know. You need to know your rights. These are fundamental rights. This is not some rocket science. Also, we need to teach this to our kids, so our kids know their rights as well. Now, let me read to you some very important case law, all right, concerning the Fifth Amendment due process. That case law is Miranda versus Arizona from 1966, which is a landmark U.S. Supreme Court case that established the Miranda rights. Now, I want all of you to go and read the case. It's a few pages, but you will get very, very educated from it. This is where the Miranda rights came from. And this is why they are supposed to read you your Miranda rights. But let me continue here. So this U.S. Supreme Court case established the Miranda rights, a set of legal warnings that must be given to a suspect in police custody before interrogation. The case is significant for protecting the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and ensuring due process in criminal justice. So, if you know that someone is trespassing on you, is interrupting your peaceful pursuit of happiness, your right to life, which is also known the right to travel, that you can go from point A to point B in your conveyance, whatever it is, on a horse, on a donkey, in a car, on a plane, whatever it is, however you wish to travel, that right is guaranteed to you. All right? So, facts of the case, or what I was going to say is, there is no dispute about that. It's already decided. And all you have to do is state that case. Hey, you don't want to bother the court and take valuable, precious time of the court by bringing a case like this where I was not provided due process, where you didn't read me my Miranda rights, where I was not afforded the right to remain silent and not to be a witness against myself. You see, because the moment you start answering questions, you start giving your papers, there you are waiving your Fifth Amendment right, your right to not be witness against you, and whatever you give, whatever you say, whatever you provide may be used against you, and you know it will be used against you because they are after that ends leeches. They are after the all caps name, your ID, which is really not identifying you as a man, but it's for commercial purposes. They are collecting on the U.S. debt, and that card is basically the debtor card. It's a debtor card to start to be issuing these commercial instruments, to be securitized, and to be bonded, and voila, this is how big bucks are being made. So let's continue. So the facts of the case of the Miranda versus Arizona. Ernesto Miranda was arrested in Arizona in 1963, suspected of kidnapping and rape. During interrogation, he was not informed of his right to remain silent or his right to an attorney. Miranda confessed to the crimes after 2 hours of questioning, and his confession was used as evidence during trial. However, his defense argued that his confession should be inadmissible because he was not informed of his rights before being interrogated. The legal issue: The key issue was whether the confession was valid without informing Miranda of his constitutional rights, including the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney, rights guaranteed under the Fifth and Sixth Amendment. The Supreme Court's ruling. The court ruled in a 5-4 decision that the Fifth Amendment's protection against self-incrimination required that suspects be informed of their rights before being questioned by law enforcement. Right there you have it. The court held that statements made during custodial interrogation are inadmissible unless the suspect is first informed of their rights, now known as Miranda rights. The Miranda warnings include the right to remain silent, the right to an attorney, and if this is assistance of counsel, and if the suspect cannot afford one, an attorney will be provided. The warning that anything said may be used against them in court. The outcome, the court overturned Miranda's conviction, ruling that his confession was inadmissible because he had not been informed of his rights before his interrogation. The ruling set a precedent that law enforcement must inform suspects of their rights to ensure that confessions are made voluntarily and with full awareness of the consequences. This includes any papers. Any papers you provide will be, maybe, and for sure will be used against you. Impact. Miranda versus Arizona fundamentally changed the way law enforcement operates during interrogations. It introduced the Miranda warning, which must be recited to a suspect before police questioning in custody. So the moment you get stopped, you get basically it's a being detained or being arrested. This is where it applies. You have to be read your Miranda rights. And you have the right to remain silent, and you have the right to private civilian due process, which means take me to the judge. Take me to the judge right here. I will gladly go, and let's have the judge to decide. The case strengthened due process protections and reinforced the constitutional rights of individuals against forced self-incrimination. In essence, the decision in Miranda versus Arizona ensures that individuals are aware of their rights and safeguards them from coerced confessions during police interrogations. That's it. That's it, my family. This is it, my beautiful friends. You have the right to remain silent, and you have the right to private civilian due process. So before someone adjudicates the crime scene and takes you somewhere in some holding warehouse called as jail, you have to go in front of magistrate. And courts are open 24/7. We have to go there. You cannot have someone just decide on the side of the road, and then later on, 45 days later, there will be some court hearing, which is really, it has nothing to do about what happened, but it has all to do. It's basically the state suing you for the debt, not you. It's suing the ensleeches. We will talk about that another time. But this is the proper due process. You have to go in front of someone to make a decision. If you should go to jail, if your property should be towed, that's the other thing. Okay, all you towing companies, you need to learn something very, very important. You cannot just go and seize someone's property because someone in a costume and a badge and gun tells you. There has to be a court order. There has to be a court order with wet ink signature from the judge. There has to be a seal, and then you have the right to tow someone's property. Not before, only when someone is presenting this to you. Because if you do that, that order, that court order, you are becoming liable. That's it. And on top of this, oh, we forgot to talk about that. And on top of that, they dragged this young man to a hospital to assault him with a needle. He told them repeatedly that he is not confessing, to be assaulted with a needle, to have his blood extracted and stolen. It was against his will. So now, what about the people in the hospital? So now the hospital is liable as well. Like, how can you, doctors and nurses, have some dude bring private civilian in and basically tell the nurses and the doctors, yeah, go ahead and take his blood and all this stuff, because I decided. I played the witness, I played the prosecutor, and I'm also the judge, and this is my order. And these nurses and doctors, they just do it. When the private American was telling them, I do not agree to this. I don't give you my consent. This is not my wish that you poke me with a needle, you penetrate my body with a weapon and steal my blood. Like, people, like, what is this? What is this? I guess none of you really lived in any other country and doesn't know what dictatorship is and fascism is. This is fascism. And I know because of my family. Yeah, the Nazis just came and they did whatever they wanted to do and they took whatever they wanted to take. That's a clear definition of fascism. When someone can just in the public and ask you for your papers anytime, they can take you, they can jail you, they can poke needles into you. Yeah, this is no different. So people, the Miranda rights are so important. Go and read the whole case law. It's really fantastic read. You will be so educated. Your eyes will open up. And this is landmark case. It's been already decided. So the court, you don't have to burden the court with a similar case. You just point to it. Sir, this has already been decided. Like, that's where the Miranda rights came from this landmark case. Because, you cannot just coerce and intimidate someone into self-incrimination. This is why the Fifth Amendment is I find it so critical and so fundamental, which goes above people's head like nothing. And then people say, well, this is for public safety. I'm like, for public safety? What's for public safety? And also, what is public safety? What is public safety for public safety? Like, if we go that way, preventing crime, right? So what about all the knives in homes? What about all the pools, by homes where kids drown? What about automobiles altogether? They kill, right? So we cannot be in this a preventive, like there was some kind of danger to happen. There was, these cases based on hearsay. Someone just calls, the law enforcement, and they just go and just do it without any investigation, without due process. No, people. Private civilians, we have private civilian due process. Private Americans have their rights intact. We know how to stand on them. We know how to work with our public servants, with respect, in peace, right? And everything gets resolved. None of this needs to be happening. So go to read that case law, Miranda versus Arizona. I would be reading it, but it's a long, quite long reading. You will get very educated on the subject of your right not to be witness against yourself and the right of due process. So we will continue these discussions because I think it's very important that we apply it to everyday situations and how we handle it when there is an issue. Because it's one thing to study something in a classroom or in the comfort of your home, and then it's a different thing when it needs to be applied where you are out and about. So that's why we say that there are these 3 stages of really knowledge. It's not just reading something, but it's really understanding what it means. And let me tell you, the Constitution is such a fine document, but it took myself quite some time really to understand it, what it really means, how does it really apply. And even until today, it's like, wow, so many powerful points. And this is what makes America great. This is what makes America great, that we have freedom, that we only give it away through the lack of knowledge. And I think it's a shame, because a lot of these issues and problems could be prevented if people really spend the time and study. So go to study. Don't become a witness against yourself. Do not waive your Fifth Amendment right of due process, and be smart, be safe, be loving. And I'm sending much love and light, and I will see you next time.